Good morning. It's Christina with your A.M Manna. And this morning's manna is coming from 1 Corinthians chapter 14, verse 40. And it reads, "Let all things be done decently and in order." God says that everything that we do, he said, because let all things be done. So in everything that we do, in our interactions with other folks, how we live our lives, how we handle God, how we handle other people, our thoughts, our actions, everything about our being. He said, let all things be done decently and in order. God said decently in a way that conforms with generally accepted standards of respectable or moral behavior. That's what the definition of decently is. And in order, in the correct condition for operation or use. God says that He has given us the Bible. And within that Bible, He says is the living word. And the reason that it is living, because it is happening now. And God, in this book that He has given us instructions as to how we should live our lives. How we should live our lives. And in 1 Corinthians 14 and 40, he says, let all things be done decently and in order. What order? How do we know the order? It's in His Word. It's in His Word. It's in the instructions that He has given us in His Word in the Bible of how we are to live. He says, love thy neighbor as you love thyself. He said, do good to those who do wrong by you. Pray for them who persecute you. Pray for them, he said. He said, love your neighbor as you love yourself. It's how we show others love, a reflection of how we love ourselves. God says, let all things be done decently and in order. That includes how we handle people, how we handle the things that we put our hands on, how we handle the things that we speak about, how we handle our thoughts. How we process things. Are they according to the instructions that God has given us in this book? Are we living decently and doing all things decently and in order? According to God's true gospel, the word, the unadulterated word, not the word that we pick up and use and put a spin on it for our own good and benefit. Knowing that we're using it out of content. Some of us knowing that we're using it out of content. But we use it anyway to justify our means. God says, let all things be done decently and in order. That talks about living life and everything about it and about us. All things be done decently and in order. Are we living decently and in order according to the word and the instructions that have been given by God in this Bible? God says, are we praying for one another like we're supposed to be? God said, even those that you don't like, even those that you don't talk to anymore, are you praying for them? Or are you talking about them? God says, are we praying for them? Or are we talking about them? God says, are we helping one another up? Or are we tearing one another down? Because we want to get there first. And we want to pick who we bring with us and who we feel should be and should not be there. God says, let all things be done decently and in order. When we do something wrong against our brother or our sister, do we apologize? Or do we try to make it their fault or make them think that they misheard God? Because we too arrogant to say, I'm sorry. God says that the truth sets us free. God says, let all things be done decently and in order. The word says that let not turn your neighbor away when they come to you in need, and tell them to come back tomorrow when you can help them today. God says, are we helping those that come in need? Or are we turning them away? Pretending we didn't see the text. Pretending that we didn't read it. God says, are we pretending that we don't know why there was a disconnect? And we say it's everybody but us. But God says the one standing factor in all of it was us. But yet we refuse to look in the mirror at ourselves. God says, let all things be done decently and in order. God says, are we living according to the word and the statutes in this Bible? Or are we selective about what we want to do and what we take from this Bible? We take what we feel that we can use to benefit ourselves, to justify the error of our ways. But are we taking the word that can break some things off of us? Or have we been rejecting that word? God says, let all things be done decently and in order. God says we're talking about going to war against the enemy when we're already at war against one another. In order for us to beat the enemy, we have to unite as one. God said, let all things be done decently and in order. How are we living? Being mindful that God sees, He truly sees, and He truly knows all. He sees and He knows.